The Tao of Badass by Joshua Pellicer. He could feel the sting of her laughter cutting right through him. Picture this, a young psychology student desperately trying to figure out life and his place in it. He's talking with a girl he's been crushing on hard, but she's made it crystal clear where he stands, firmly planted in the friend zone. Then, mid-conversation, something shifts. He says something with just a touch of confidence, maybe even a little cockiness. It's completely out of character for him. She stops dead in her tracks, looks at him with this incredulous smile, and says, you think you're hot shit, don't you? Now, if that were most of us, we'd immediately crumble. We'd stumble over our words, apologize profusely, maybe crack some self-deprecating joke to ease the tension. But he'd been studying something interesting in his psychology classes, this idea that we actually create the energy around us, not the other way around. So he takes a breath, pauses for just a beat, and says, "Yeah, well, I am." And she just loses it, laughing, right in his face, for what feels like forever. He just stands there, holding his ground, thinking to himself that the worst-case scenario is she keeps seeing him as unattractive, which is exactly where things already stood anyway. But then, something wild happens, something that would literally change his entire life. The laughter fades. She looks at him again, but differently this time, really seeing him, and then she says something that sends electricity through his entire body. She says, actually thinking about it, "You're right, though. You are hot." That single moment became the turning point, the instant he realized that attraction between men and women isn't some mysterious magic. It's not about getting lucky, or being born gorgeous, or having a fat bank account. It's actually a system, a psychology you can decode. And most importantly, it can be learned. That young man was Joshua Pellicer, who went on to become one of the world's top dating and social dynamics coaches. He ended up advising major brands like Axe body spray, training celebrities, and even hosting his own national radio show. The book he wrote, The Tao of Badass, became this underground sensation, like a secret manual for cracking the code. Here's what I'm promising you. By the end of our time together, you're going to understand the core principles of this hidden psychology. You'll have an actual roadmap that shows you how to go from complete stranger to genuine connection, not by accident or luck, but by intentional design. This isn't about cheesy pickup lines or manipulation. It's about unlocking a power that, according to him, every single man already has somewhere inside. So let's dive in and discover what it really means to be a badass. Have you ever really stopped and asked yourself why you do the things you do? Why do you want that good job, or those perfect grades, or that strong body from the gym? If you keep digging past the obvious answers like money or health, you'll usually find one powerful evolutionary force underneath it all: the desire to be attractive, find a partner, and build a family. It's literally hardwired into our human DNA. And yet, for so many guys, this whole area feels like navigating in complete darkness. We're constantly told that success with women just happens to you. You get lucky. You fall in love. Even the language we use makes it sound like an accident, something completely outside your control. But here's where the author drops a bomb. This is actually a skill set. You're not born with it magically installed. You learn it. Those guys who seem like naturals, they just learned these lessons without realizing it, maybe from watching their dad or an older brother. But here's the kicker. When you learn it consciously and deliberately, you become way more powerful. A natural doesn't understand why what he does works. He's like someone who can drive a car but has zero clue what's happening under the hood. When something breaks, he's completely stuck. But when you learn the actual mechanics, you become the mechanic. You can diagnose any problem, fix it, and drive wherever you want. So what makes this engine of attraction actually run? It starts with understanding a fundamental dynamic between men and women, what the book calls gender roles. Now hold on, this isn't about dusty old stereotypes. We're talking about psychological dynamics. Throughout most of human history, men took on the provider-protector role, hunting and defending the tribe. Women became the nurturers. But societies evolved dramatically. Raw physical strength isn't the survival key anymore. The book explains that these roles have transformed into something more social and psychological. The modern male role has become that of a, quote, social provider and social protector. And here's something crucial. This has almost nothing to do with your bank account. Think about why women are often attracted to wealthy men. Is it really the money itself? Not quite. The money is just a symbol. It suggests that this man holds a leadership position, that people depend on him, that he brings value to the world. A rock star might be completely broke, but he provides massive social value to his fans and bandmates. He's a leader. That's what creates attraction. The core of masculinity, then, is being a source of stability and value, leading with logic instead of getting tossed around by chaotic emotions. The modern female role, in turn, has evolved from nurturer to empathizer. It's the capacity to feel deeply, to connect with the emotional landscape of life. A woman, when she feels genuinely safe and secure, wants to be able to chase the butterflies of her emotions without worrying about the rocks and holes in the field. And the man's role in this dynamic is to clear that path, to provide that safety. He becomes the calm center that lets her emotional world flourish freely. When this dynamic clicks into place, attraction ignites. A man embodying the masculine role becomes magnetic to a woman expressing her feminine side. But when it breaks down, what the book calls role reversal, the attraction dies instantly. This happens when a man starts making decisions based purely on his feelings. If he becomes emotionally reactive, she feels like she can't be the emotional one anymore. Two emotional people can't steer the ship together. To compensate, she'll suppress her own feelings, take charge, and start leading with logic. She gets forced into the masculine role while he slides into the feminine. And even though it might look like she's taking control, the book makes this crystal clear. She doesn't want this to happen. She wants to trust the man to lead, so she can feel safe enough to fully be a woman. This is exactly why, as we'll discover, a woman will constantly test you. She's checking to see if you can actually hold that strong, masculine center. So if being that stable, logical leader is the secret, where do you even start? It all begins with the single most attractive quality a man can possibly have: confidence. Ask literally any woman what she finds attractive in a man, and confidence will almost always top the list. But there's this huge misunderstanding floating around. Most guys assume that men are confident because they're successful or good-looking. The book completely flips this around. It argues that men are attractive because they're confident. Confidence is the cause, not the effect. But what actually is confidence? It's definitely not just being yourself. At its core, confidence is the belief that you have the ability to increase the value of the people around you. It's this quiet certainty that your presence genuinely makes situations better. And how does a woman actually detect this quality? Through one unavoidable channel: your body language. Your body language, the book explains, is basically a direct printout of your emotional state. And your emotional state flows directly from your deepest beliefs. So it follows. Your beliefs control your emotions, and your emotions control your body language. When a woman meets you, she's subconsciously reading your body language like a book to figure out what you truly believe about yourself. Let's imagine a scenario the book lays out. You're walking down the street, feeling pretty good about yourself. You spot a group of attractive girls walking toward you. As you pass by, they suddenly go quiet, and just after you're past them, they burst out laughing. What's your immediate gut reaction? If your core belief is, "I'm an attractive, high-value guy," your emotional response will be positive. You'll think something like, "They're laughing because they got nervous around me," or "They're trying to get my attention." Your body language will reflect this belief automatically. You'll stand taller, maybe smile, your posture stays open and strong. You've just projected pure confidence. But what if your underlying belief is, "I'm really not that great with women"? That exact same laughter triggers a completely different emotional response: rejection, embarrassment. Your body language immediately broadcasts those feelings. You'll slouch, stare at the ground, try to make yourself smaller to avoid more psychological attacks. In both scenarios, the external event was identical. The only thing that changed was your internal belief system. This is the secret sauce. To become genuinely confident, you need to hack into your own mind and literally rewrite your limiting beliefs. The author lays out a 5-step process for this, a method to consciously install a new, powerful belief system. First, you challenge the old belief. Is it really 100% true that you're unattractive? Has literally no one in the entire world ever found you even slightly attractive? Probably not. You find the crack in that logic. Second, you accept a new, more empowering belief. You consciously choose to believe, I am an attractive man, because that belief will actually serve your life better. This is where affirmations can help, repeating the new belief to yourself consistently. Third, you proclaim it. You start acting in ways that align with this new belief, stating it as fact when it comes up naturally in conversation. This is exactly what the author did in that story with his friend. Fourth, you gather feedback. You observe how the world reacts to this new version of you. Do people argue back, or do they start agreeing and reflecting this new belief back to you? And finally, you submit. When you've gathered enough positive feedback, the new belief becomes a solid, unquestioned fact in your mind. This is the internal work. But how does this new confidence actually translate into real interactions? This is where the book introduces its central framework, a 4-stage roadmap called the Map of Interaction. This map guides you from that very first moment of meeting someone all the way to a stable relationship. The 4 phases are attraction, rapport, seduction, and relationship balance. Let's walk through each one. The first phase, attraction, is where most guys completely mess up. It's not about convincing a girl to like you. It's about creating genuine curiosity. The mindset here should be playful boy, not serious suitor. This phase has 3 key steps. It starts with the introduction, which actually happens before you even open your mouth. It's that moment you become a blip on her radar. Your posture while standing at the bar, the way you walk across the room, how you interact with your friends. She's gathering data and making prejudgments from the very beginning. Next comes demonstrating high value. This part is crucial. Notice it's not about demonstrating higher value, which would imply you think she's better than you and you need to catch up. That's needy energy. It's about showing, not telling, that you're a man of value. The key here is communicating one thing above everything else. You are not needy. You do this through a combination of playful conversation, called banter, and a strategic mix of positive and negative body language. Banter is content-free conversation. It's not a job interview. You're not drilling her with where are you from or what do you do. You're teasing, making jokes, keeping things light and fun. Verbally, you're being positive and engaging. But with your body language, you're not giving her everything at once. You don't face her head-on the entire time. You might talk to her over your shoulder or turn away for a moment while you're smiling. This push-pull creates intrigue. It signals interest without neediness. The final, and honestly most powerful step of attraction is qualifying. This is a concept most men have literally never even heard of. Instead of you trying to impress her, which is what 99% of guys do, you flip the entire script and make her impress you. You make her feel like she has to earn your attraction. Sometimes, a woman will do this naturally. After you've demonstrated high value, she might casually drop a little fact into the conversation to impress you, like, by the way, I graduated from Princeton. She's qualifying herself to you. When this happens, your job is simple. Reward it. Wow, Princeton, that's seriously impressive. You must be really smart. But if she doesn't do it naturally, you can guide her there. The book suggests a simple but potent tool called the questions qualifier. You can ask, playfully, so, aside from your obvious good looks, what are the 3 best things about you? This question invites her to sell herself to you. to list the qualities that make her valuable. In that moment, she's chasing your approval. And that dynamic is the very essence of attraction. Once you've successfully navigated the attraction phase, you earn the right to move into the second phase, rapport. This is where you shift from being a playful boy to being a friend. Attraction is fleeting and surface level. Rapport is what builds a real connection. This is where you stop bantering and start searching for genuine emotional links. The book describes a 4-step cycle for building deep rapport: light rapport, wide rapport, deep rapport, and release. You start with light, surface-level questions to find potential topics. When you find something interesting, you explore it more broadly. Then, you dive deep into it to create a true emotional connection, often by sharing a personal story from your childhood and being vulnerable first. And then, crucially, you pull back and return to a lighter topic. By repeating this cycle on different subjects, you weave a strong, multi-layered emotional bond. The third phase is seduction. Here, the mindset shifts again, from friend to man. Seduction, as the book defines it, is simply a state where someone's emotional brain is heightened and their logical brain is weakened, combined with sexual tension. The deep rapport you've already built is the key to unlocking this. It lowers her defenses and makes her feel safe enough to let her emotions take over. Finally, there's relationship balance, which is about maintaining a healthy dynamic in long-term relationships by balancing 4 key elements: power, who leads; compliance, whose priorities come first; value, your worth outside the relationship; and neediness, your investment in the relationship. This entire map is an incredibly powerful tool, but as you navigate through it, you're going to inevitably face challenges. Specifically, you're going to be tested. A test, the book reveals, is actually one of the best signs you can possibly get from a woman. Women subconsciously test men to filter out the fakers from the genuinely confident ones. If she's testing you, it means she's interested enough to see if you're the real deal. There are 2 main types. The first is a compliance test. She'll ask you to do something, often something small and slightly unreasonable, just to see if you're a pushover. Buy me a drink. Wait right here for me. A low-value man will immediately comply without thinking. A badass won't. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You can playfully refuse. Add your own terms like, "I'll wait, but only if you do a little dance first." Or flip the script entirely with, "I was just about to ask you to buy me a drink." You're showing that you follow your own lead. The second is a congruence test. She'll say something designed to rattle you, to see if your confidence is genuine or just an act. She might tease you or throw a backhanded compliment your way. "Nice shirt. Did your mom pick it out?" The key is entirely in how you react. If you get defensive or flustered, you fail instantly. The best way to pass is to either not react at all, or to hilariously misinterpret her jab as an intense compliment, or a sign she's hitting on you. "Look, we just met. Let's slow down a bit," you might say with a playful smile. You've passed the test by showing that her words have zero power over your emotional state. Ultimately, all of these techniques, from building beliefs to passing tests, are about transforming yourself from a passive passenger in your love life to an active creator. It's about getting over that one massive hurdle that stops most men before they even start: the fear of the approach. The book calls this approach anxiety and describes it as a faulty survival mechanism. Your brain is desperately trying to protect you from the potential pain of rejection. The solution is twofold. First, you need to treat your social skills exactly like a muscle at the gym. If you don't use it regularly, it gets weak and sore. You have to go out and practice approaching people consistently, just to keep that muscle strong. And second, you absolutely have to kill hesitation. Your brain's excuse-making machinery kicks into overdrive after just 1 or 2 seconds. If you see someone you want to talk to, you have to act within that tiny window, before the fear has any chance to grab hold. By doing this over and over, you rewrite your belief system from, "I'm a guy who's afraid to approach women," to I'm the kind of guy who talks to people I'm curious about. And that's the real essence of the Tao. It's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about removing all the fears and false beliefs that have been hiding the most confident, attractive, and powerful version of yourself. It's about finally having a map, knowing the rules of the road, and taking the wheel. When you first stumble across a book called The Tao of Badass, it's totally natural to be skeptical. The title alone sounds like something from a late-night infomercial, promising some quick fix to one of life's most complicated challenges. But as you actually dig into the content, you realize the core message runs way deeper and more meaningful than you'd ever expect. The true Tao, or way, that this book describes isn't really about memorizing a bunch of lines to use on women. It's about mastering yourself. The external success it promises is, in many ways, just a byproduct of a much more important internal transformation. The central lesson is that your outer world directly reflects your inner world. If you want to be perceived as valuable, you first have to genuinely believe you're valuable. If you want to be seen as confident, you need to build that confidence from the inside out, by confronting your insecurities head-on and rewriting your own mental programming. This is an incredibly powerful and timeless principle that extends way beyond just dating. The author actually notes that many of his students reported getting promotions at work after applying these concepts, and it makes total sense when you think about it. A person who learns to lead social interactions with calm confidence, who can genuinely add value to others, who isn't thrown off by tests or negativity, and who understands how to build authentic rapport, that person isn't just attractive romantically. They're a natural leader in literally any context. What I find most profound is the fundamental shift in perspective from being a reactor to being a creator. Most of us sleepwalk through life just reacting to whatever happens to us. We get rejected, so we feel terrible. We get approved of, so we feel amazing. Our emotional state becomes a puppet, and the world holds all the strings. This book offers a way to cut those strings completely. It teaches that you're actually responsible for the atmosphere you create around yourself. That story of the author getting laughed at by his friend is the perfect illustration. The external event was clearly negative, but because he controlled his internal frame, he completely transformed the outcome into something positive. That's genuine power. So how can you start applying this philosophy today, right now? Here are a few simple practical actions you can take immediately. First, practice the 2-second rule. For the next 48 hours, make it your personal mission to fight hesitation with everything you've got. The exact moment you have an impulse to talk to someone, a cashier, someone at the gym, literally anyone, give yourself no more than 2 seconds to act on it. Just walk over and say hello. The goal isn't to have some perfect conversation. The goal is to train your social muscle and prove to your brain that you're in charge, not your fear. Second, conduct a body language audit. 3 times today, just stop whatever you're doing and notice your posture. Are you slouching? Are you making yourself small? Consciously pull your shoulders back, lift your head up, and sit or stand up straight. Take up a little more space. Notice how this tiny physical shift instantly changes your emotional state. Remember, lead the body, and the mind will follow right behind. Third, flip the script on a compliment. The next time you want to compliment someone, instead of just stating it directly, try to qualify them instead. For example, instead of saying, "You have a great sense of style," try asking, "I'm curious, what's the thought process behind your style? It seems really unique." This shifts the entire dynamic from you giving approval to them, explaining their value to you. It's a small change, but it powerfully reframes the whole interaction. Ultimately, the journey described in this book is one of self-worth and social intelligence. It reminds us that knowledge alone isn't power, application is power. You can read 100 books, but absolutely nothing will change until you take that first, genuinely frightening step to apply what you've learned. That was a summary of The Tao of Badass by Joshua Pellicer. We've explored the main highways of his philosophy today, but I'll be completely honest with you. A summary can only ever be a map. The real magic happens when you decide to actually take the journey yourself. It's in those quiet moments, when a particular story or a simple phrase from the book hits you in a way you didn't expect. This overview is designed to help you decide if this path is one you want to walk. If anything we've talked about has sparked a sense of genuine possibility within you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning techniques. It's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself and your place in the world. A link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this journey valuable and want to continue exploring ideas from the world's most powerful books, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Billionaire's Bookshelf. It ensures you won't miss our next adventure into another life-changing text. Let's keep building our wisdom together.